It's Thursday night. Thanks for joining us. This is TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday Night Tailgate, where we cover all of the Anthracite Football League action every week. Thanks again. We really appreciate all the feedback we've gotten the last 2 weeks. Viewership's up. That's great, guys. Show's becoming a little more interactive. We're getting more feedback, more questions. We really appreciate that. We take all of your information, all of your questions and comments into account. One thing that's come through loud and clear is that you guys are watching the show maybe between classes, maybe on the way to work, and you don't have an hour, and you know what? It's getting tough for us too. So what we're going to try to do is make this jam-packed. We're going to bang this out, trim the fat, bang this out in about 40 minutes because I think that seems to be the time that everybody has to join us. So we appreciate all those comments and feedback. And guys, here we are, week 7. What do you think?
I'm excited. We got a Thursday night game this week.
I love the Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night game. We got some, it's starting to get to that time of year where, every game becomes just that more important because the playoffs are right around the corner, believe it or not. And, it's exciting stuff. I just like to see who's going to put the foot on the gas pedal and race to the finish line here and finish the season off strong. That's what I'm excited to see.
I'm excited because we still have 2 undefeated teams in the Anthracite League with a potential Week 10 showdown. So that's something that we're going to keep our eye on, and of course we're all hoping for that one at the end of the season with Jim Thorpe Heighton. So we'll see how that pans out.
Very cool. So we're going to keep this rolling. We're going to go right into our Week 6 review. First, we're going to talk about Pottsville. As we mentioned every week, Pottsville coming into the AFL next year, and I'm sure they're looking forward to that. It's going to really make their games more interesting as far as competitiveness goes, but also as far as fan interest, I think, with the rivals that they're going to be playing next year that they're used to playing in other sports, in baseball, basketball, volleyball. So Pottsville this week, once again, another tough one out of Berks County. They go to Governor Mifflin. Governor Mifflin comes on top, 28-0, dropping Pottsville to 0-6.
Yeah, we said Governor Mifflin would come in with something to prove after losing that tough one to Lee Heighton, and just completely outmatched them. Ton of offense. Pottsville struggled offensively, so easy win for Governor Mifflin. And like I said, Pottsville. I think something that's happened for Pottsville that happened with Blue Mountain and Lee Heighton. When they get into this league, it's just going to really lift their program and help them out tremendously.
Yeah, offense struggle. We talked about it. They need to get some early scores. We thought there was a couple of big plays that just didn't happen. Mifflin, one of the notorious in that league for being one of the strongest teams, being real big up front usually, no matter what kind of talent pool they have. So they showed that, and a nice bounce back for Mifflin. But once again, another tough one for the Tide.
All right, moving on. Our non-league game this week is Schuylkill Haven taking on Nativity. They actually scrimmaged. It was one of the 2 scrimmages in the preseason, and the game turned out just like the scrim. Nativity just really no match for Schuylkill Haven. Haven just completely overpowering, too strong in the trenches, too much depth, and Schuylkill Haven comes on top of that one, 68-14.
Yeah, Haven's got to get to the point now where they got to get in a roll. They got to get confidence. And that's what they did against Nativity. They had over 400 yards of total offense, real smash mouth type football once again from Coach Farr. I think he was real frustrated with the way that Jim Thorpe game ended. He wasn't happy with that. So
that was such a close game through 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so some mistakes, turnovers, 5 turnovers in that one cost them that one. So it's time for the Canes to get rolling. And if we know anything about them, it's when they're flying under the radar, they're even more dangerous than when you think they're going to do something special.
Yeah, this is a nice tune-up game, if you will, because they have a big one coming up this week with Marion. So they clicked on all cylinders. They're going to look to carry that over this week.
Yeah, Haven moves to 4-2. So just like that, Haven now 4-2 and in the driver's seat in District 11 Single A. So Schuylkill Haven with a big win over Nativity, 68-14, improving their record to 4-2. Our first league game of the week. In Lansford, we were at this one. Jim Thorpe traveled to Panther Valley. Boy, this was a very interesting game. It was the first time I got to see Jim Thorpe in person. It was also the best half of football I've seen PV play
by far. Yeah.
Probably in the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And PV jumped out to a 17-0 lead. They're up 17-7 at halftime. Thorpe comes storming back in the second half. Very entertaining game. Jim Thorpe comes out on top. 35-17, keeping their undefeated record intact.
Yeah, like we said, Panther Valley really came out and stunned the Olympians in this one. Jumped out to an early 17-0 lead. They had in between there. After the first touchdown, they had a nice field goal by Brendan Morgans. And we talked earlier in the season about their kicking game.
Yeah.
Kind of being a disaster. Well, it's pretty much come together. Morgans kicked a 29-yard field goal, both extra points. So they looks like they shored that up a little bit. But really, offensively, Jim Thorpe couldn't get anything going in the first half, and this Panther defense was playing, outside of their own minds, if you will. And some miscues from Jim Thorpe. They put the ball on the ground a couple times, and put themselves in bad situations with bad snaps, and just couldn't get in that flow. But what I was more impressed with was that Panther Valley actually sustained drives throughout that first half and put some things together to score. But second half, all Olympians, 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. They never looked back, and they kept things rolling.
Now, Hurls, you had some insight on Jim Thorpe and adjustments that they made in the second half.
Oh well, Panther Valley had a great game plan. I mean, they brought the pressure, and that kind of like Coop said, kind of shocked them a little bit, and then didn't see any kind of defense like that this season. Made some adjustments to it, and then were able to run their speed sweeps and their offense. And I think Richards had a nice pass play. I think that kind of loosened some things up for them.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So the thing I see with Panther Valley is the games that they're close in, like the Marion game, this game, where they had some chances to do some things. Reedy Figueroa is the man that gets in there on offense. I think he has to become more of a focal point every week. Got to find ways to get that kid the ball, because obviously he's by far their most explosive offensive player. So, I think that kid's going to be special, only a freshman. So I think the rest of the year you just ride him and say, here, we're going to give this kid the ball and see what happens. Better for worse. What else could you lose at this point? So
Yeah. So Jim Thorpe keeps their record undefeated. Panther Valley still searching for that first win, but as we talked about at times this year, and I'm a homer. We've mentioned it numerous times. Where I'm a PV guy, but they just don't strike me as a team without a win. They've been very competitive against quality teams like a Marion, like a Haven, this past week against Jim Thorpe. So for their sake, I hope they can put 4 quarters together and see what happens in some of these games down the stretch.
That's the thing. They really got to get that third quarter figured out, because that's where they just come out and lose any kind of momentum they have. They ended the first half with a goal line stand, with Jim Thorpe having 3 chances from the 2-yard line, and that's how they ended the half.
That was a huge
by
stance.
turning them back. So you go into the locker room up 17-7 at that point, and it just looked like, I don't know what it is, but when they come out in the second half, there's just something missing, and then, by the time they find it, they're out of the game. So got to work on that third quarter.
All right, moving on. Next, we had Tamaqua heading to Minersville. Minersville, another team still searching for their first win. This is a team that earlier in the year, preseason, there's some hype around the Miners, thinking that they were a program that might kind of turn the corner this year. Hasn't quite happened. Been struggling to put something together, both offensively and defensively, and that continued this week. Tamaqua, on the other hand, 2-3. They needed a win badly, and boy, they came out like they were a team with their backs against the ropes. And Tamaqua comes out on top of this one, 35-0, to improve their record to 3-3 and keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, I liked what the Tamaqua did here. They kind of smashed out football again, rode Moyer. I also like the way their defense played. They allowed just 77 yards, and Miners, again, we talked about last week, 0 passing yards again. I mean, if they're going to do if they're going to challenge teams at all and stay competitive and stay in games, they got to get that passing game going. Something. At least have teams have to guard somebody, because right now it doesn't seem like anybody's respecting their pass game, and rightfully so. 0 yards again. But I like the way the Raiders are playing. If they can catch fire here, possibly an Easter Conference berth for them. So they got to just stay on it, keep playing as hard as they can. And I like what Moyer's doing. I think Moyer can possibly lead him there if he it's a senior season, so he's going to leave it all out there in the field.
And speaking of the Miners, they actually made the switch this week at quarterback. They moved Keandre Taylor out. They put McBreen at quarterback, and McBreen has started plenty of games over the last 2 years for them. And like we said, it's not like they're not pulling everything out that they got, and they're searching for an answer. They're trying, and like you said, if for whatever reason it's just not clicking right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any easier for them this week. They have another tough matchup. Like you said, they're kind of struggling for that identity, kind of like we saw Panther Valley do last year, and even this year, making changes and trying to get the right situation that works. And when your numbers are limited and your athletes are limited, it's really tough to get enough guys in enough places to make things happen. That's what Miners are struggling with right now.
All right, next game, North Schuylkill, Shenandoah. Shenandoah getting a lot of confidence coming into this game. 2 wins. Last year only getting that 1 win under their belt. 2 wins coming in to this game. And, North Schuylkill, a team that's been dealing with a ton of injuries. We were kind of wondering if this was going to be a game. But welcome back, Major Jordan. That's all we have to say there. Major Jordan, one of the top players in the Anthracite Football League, a big-time Division I prospect, just a junior for North Schuylkill. And, from what we read and then from what we saw, the bit that we saw on film, kind of looked like he put North Schuylkill on his back a bit. And North Schuylkill just comes out rolling, and they beat Shenandoah 50-13 to improve their record to 3-3, dropping Shenandoah to 2-4.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. I thought North Schuylkill would move Zahodnik, the quarterback, because when you got somebody that's as versatile as he is, he can run, he can catch, he can throw. Mm-hmm. That's where you got to kind of put your best athlete back there and hope for the best, and that's what they did, and he did a great job doing it. And also, like you said, Major Jordan. I mean, you almost think to yourself why they didn't go to if they knew, 32 carries, 200-some yards. The kid had to have proven in practice or something that he could run the ball. So I think even if in the future they have another back they'd like, I'm sure Jordan will get some carries. But he's the kind of back you need in this league: strong, fast, can really shed a lot of tacklers. And I like the way the kid does that. And on defense, he's even more impressive. So North Schuylkill, even with the switch, I still like him to win some games this year. When you got as many athletes as they do, you're going to be in games. So.
Yeah, whenever you have injury, you always have to look for that next guy up. And Major Jordan, from what we've known of him, we've known him more as a defensive player, as now standing middle linebacker. Mm-hmm. He's been surrounded by so many offensive weapons throughout his career that he really never got in the mix offensively. Now Grigas goes down, Gownley goes down, and you got an opportunity to go in there and carry the ball, and you carry it 32 times and have a great game. So that's what guys have to do when people behind them, or people ahead of them, get on that injured list. And so this bodes well for him moving forward. Next year as a senior, maybe he'll lead that backfield.
Now, how nice is it when your next man up is a Division I recruit that's getting looked at by Michigan State, Boston College, Penn State? These are the schools looking at Major Jordan.
Yeah,
and he's your next man up. I think he had, if I saw the stats correctly, I think he had less than 15 carries total. Yeah. Through the first 5 games coming into this game. 32 carries, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the kid's a stud, and now we're starting to see it on the offensive end. So, kudos to Major Jordan. We always kind of knew what type of athlete he was, but now you're seeing what he can do when he gets those type of carries, and he's the man to lead them offensively. So, North Schuylkill, once again, big win. They have a big matchup coming up this week with Mount Carmel. We'll talk about that a little bit in our second segment. So, North Schuylkill 3-3, Shenandoah drops to 2-4. Next game, we got Lehighton heading up to hometown. Up in Cold Country, Coach Stan DeCossi sitting at 299 wins. And the Colts, after starting out 3-0, we're on a 2-game losing streak, and that losing streak extends to 3 games now. We said they were coming up on a brutal stretch, and they certainly have been. And Lehighton, they just keep rolling. They improved their record to 6-0. Tight game to start. Lehighton really pulls away down the last quarter and a half, and Lehighton wins that one 34-13. I'm sorry, 34-14.
Yeah, like you said, Pat, close first half. Marion's defense played really well in the first half, but Lehighton always just seems to find answers, and they found the answers again in the second half. And Tyler Can, just as surgical as they come, leading that Lehighton offense. And with the injuries that Marion has, there's not enough offensive firepower to stay with the Indians.
Yeah, without KJ Snur, their senior running back, they only had 119 yards of total offense. He just does so many things for them. He can come out of the backfield and catch the ball. Teams just have to key in him, so it makes everybody else around him better, obviously. They just don't have the same firepower on offense. I think Kaczynski then has to try to do some things that he's not comfortable doing. Then when he's put in those type of situations, trying to do too much, it's happened to all of us when we've had injuries on our team. Mm-hmm. So until they get him back, I think they're really going to struggle. I heard last week that he was running around before the game, looked pretty good. Might play this week, I heard. Not 100%, but could get on the field. But I would think maybe not this week, but next week he'd be back. But if he is able to play this week, who knows? But without him, they're just not the same team, and Lehighton took advantage of that. Only hold the Colts 119 yards of total offense, no matter who's in their team, is an impressive feat.
Very impressive feat. You're looking, still got guys like D'Angelo, and still got Hunter Noss, and they still have Don Mussolini, guys who have been their skill players for Marion the past few years. So for Lehighton to hold them, to hold their offense to that amount of yards is very impressive on Lehighton's end. And, as I said, Lehighton keeps rolling, and very interesting to see how this District 11 3A shakes out with Lehighton and some of the other teams in the mix, like a Blue Mountain in the AFL and some of the Lehigh Valley schools and Colonial League schools.
Right.
Also going to be very interesting to see how the District 11 single A plays out now with Haven up in their record of 4-4. Marion drops to 3-3, and we'll see how that plays out down the stretch. But these last 3 weeks are going to be very interesting. A lot still to be decided for the District 11 standings in all classes right now, specifically single A and 3A. So moving on, our game of the week. Blue Mountain traveling to Monterey area. Monterey area has been on a roll since their opening week loss against Lehighton. 4 lopsided wins, very impressive in doing so. And Blue Mountain, very impressive throughout the year. I mean, their only loss being Lehighton, giving Lehighton everything that they could possibly handle before Lehighton pulls away at the end. And Blue Mountain, they came out with a vengeance. Blue Mountain the Monterey area opens up the scoring to go up 3-0. And then after that, it was just all Blue Mountain. And Blue Mountain comes out on top of this game, upping their record to 5-1. They come out on top 35-3, dropping Monterey area to 4-2. So very interesting.
Yeah, Mason Ryan, after he got hurt, didn't play the second half. It was all Blue Mountain. And they got out 3-0 with Mason Ryan leading the offense. I don't know if everybody knows that out there, that he got hurt, and then I think that's when Blue Mountain really poured it on. Because without Mason Ryan, that option attack just isn't the same.
Right.
So, they held Dulski to, under his usual yards, and he had 20-some carries for 60-some yards. And, Blue Mountain kids came through again. Mason Freed, big game again from him. So, Blue Mountain's doing what they have to do every week. Very impressive to take Monterey down 35-3 even after all that momentum coming in. Even with the Ryan injury, you got kids that are playing confident football. That's always tough to take down a team like that. So, kudos to Blue Mountain. They're rolling, and Monterey will have a chance to bounce back this week against Jim Thorpe.
I'm glad you mentioned the Mason Ryan injury, because as we were scoreboard watching Friday night, and we got the final, that was kind of the word around like the booth and stuff, and somebody said, there had to be an injury there. For that game to get that lopsided, we figured, not that Blue Mountain's not a great team, but for it to be that bad, we thought something like that had to happen. So it was Mason Ryan, did have an injury there, didn't play a whole lot, but like you said, Blue Mountain just, we all thought this would be a very close game. You went out on a limb and picked the upset.
Yeah.
But even with Mason Ryan, for Blue Mountain to be able to score 35 points against that defense, they did a great job.
All right, so let's wrap up week 6. Hard cold performers. We got some combos this week. We got our hard cold combos. Cool.
Pizza nachos. Those are my favorite.
There you go.
Pizza combos. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, it was a weird week because we had like two guys really stand out from a couple different teams. So we're gonna go some combos here, and we'll start the game we just talked about. Blue Mountain beating Monterey area. In that game, quarterback Mason Freed, 7 out of 11, 95 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 2 of those went to Spencer Welsh, who finished with 3 catches for 50 yards and a pair of touchdowns. So Mike, hard-cold combo, Mason Freed and his wide receiver Spencer Welsh for the Blue Mountain Eagles.
Harrells, who you got?
My Jim Thorpe buddies always make fun of me and tell me I'm a big tribe lover. I'm an Indian lover. I'm all over the Indians. They're my team this year and everything. So I guess I'll continue that with my combos, Clements and Can. It goes well together. They sound good together. Can, 107 rush, 159 pass. Clements, 107 rush. I don't think he's rushed under 100 all year, if I can remember, for any of the games. So those 2 guys just doing it again, playing tough, and those are my 2 hard-cold players this week.
My hard cold combo this week's come from Fountain Springs, North Schuylkill. We talked about Major Jordan, over 230 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, leading North Schuylkill to a big win. But also Richie Zahodnik takes over Bobby Grigas' duty under center as a quarterback. This week, Richie Zahodnik, he had 2 TD runs, 1 TD pass, almost 160 yards of total offense, and had huge wins. So my hard cold combo of the week is Richie Zahodnik and Major Jordan from North Schuylkill. So, before we move on, top 4 right now. Coop, who you got?
Lehighton, Jim Thorpe, Blue Mountain, and who am I missing? This was Blue Mountain, and
It's tough.
who's up there? No, I like the way Schuylkill Haven's playing right now. Let's throw Schuylkill Haven up there. We'll throw them up.
Who you got?
I'm going to go Lehighton, Jim Thorpe 2, Blue Mountain 3, and I'm putting the Spartans back in there at 4.
Spartans have too many injuries for me right now. They got to get healthy.
Mr. Spartan! All of a sudden, boy,
I know.
people are diving away as Coop's jumping off the North Schuylkill bandwagon. He's been riding that for years, and now he's jumping right off it.
I like the Major Jordan running the ball now. I like him back in the top 4.
I agree. North Schuylkill 4, Blue Mountain 3, Jim Thorpe 2, Lehighton 1. There's our top 4. So that is our Week 6 wrap. We're going to be back in a minute and talk about Week 7 and the remainder of the season in the AFL. Thanks for joining us. This is TNT, Coleridge and Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. Yeah, I started. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks like back. Thanks again for joining us. This is TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. This is part 2 of our Week 7 show. We're going to take a look ahead at the Week 7 games. We got some Thursday night action this week. And Coop, me and you are going to be there.
Yes.
Some pretty exciting stuff.
Our first game together in the broadcast booth, so we're going to have some fun with that. But Panther Valley coming in still winless against another undefeated team, Lehighton. They just faced the undefeated Olympians last week. Gave them a good battle in the first half. Ran out of gas in the second half. Kind of expecting the same thing this one. Lehighton's going to be too powerful, too much. Hopefully, Panther Valley can hang in there in the first half, but getting that one. Never know. Last week I was expecting to see a real ugly one, and Panther Valley surprised they were in the first half. So hopefully, Coach Davis can get that going again this week.
Yeah, I'll be there with you guys too. I'll be the lowly newspaper guy at that one next to the Big Shot Radio guys.
That's right.
So, we'll have a good time. That'll be a great one. And,
It's going to be fun.
No matter what, it's for a great cause. You know what I mean? Going up there for the I think it's the BOTAC Foundation. So, great. That's always a great cause. It's started now, I think, how many years ago was that now that the game started? 4 years ago?
I was going to say 4 or 5.
I think this is year 4.
Yeah, so... great cause, raising awareness for suicide in anyone and anything, and that's always a great thing to raise awareness from. And I'm looking forward to see if PV can come out strong early, because they're going to have to. If they don't come out strong early, if they have some type of 3-and-out turnover, I think that's going to give Lehighton the momentum right off the bat. It's going to be away. It's always tough to play up there, and it's kind of a tale of 2 seasons here for these teams. And I think PV should do a lot what they did last week. It's just kind of bringing pressure. Try to get some pressure on Ken. Try to shake him up a little bit. Make him throw maybe an errant pass as hard as that seems to make him do.
Yeah, he doesn't throw many of those.
But if you got somebody in your face, you never know. So it's a Thursday night game. So no matter what, we're just happy to see some football on Thursday. But I'd like to see the Panthers get out strong early and make it interesting, of course. But Lehighton, tough.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. One thing you notice about the Thursday night atmosphere the last few years is pretty neat to see. You walk around and you see the sweatshirts and the jackets of all the Anthracite teams. Everybody's there on a Thursday night. It's going to be packed. Yeah. It's the only game in town. It's going to be packed. It's a huge rival. So, hey, it's a good opportunity. We obviously we know Lehighton has a ton to play for, but for the Panthers, the spotlight's on you this week. For this game, it's the only show in town on Thursday night, so it's a good opportunity to go out there and just let it rip. So we're excited to be heading out there on Thursday night and check out the Panther Valley Lehighton game. So that's our first game, Thursday night special this week in Week 7.
And we will be worldwide in that game, covering it for www.wmgh.com. So after you're finished watching our show Thursday night, then tune in to wmgh.com and listen to Lehighton Panther Valley.
That's right. Wherever you're at, as long as you got that World Wide Web, you'll be able to listen to the sweet sounds of John Cooper doing play-by-play.
And Pat Cramsey.
For the Lehighton Panther Valley game. So, looking forward to that. Next, we got Conrad Weiser heading to Pottsville. Once again, different week, same story for Pottsville. Tough Berks team that they got to deal with and trying to break that streak. So, once again, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, another tough matchup for Pottsville. Kind of been saying the same thing each week. Got to get something going offensively. Kind of maybe Jacoby can break one off for them, but until they start getting some things going offensively, stringing some drives together, getting some big plays, some whether it be in the pass game or the run game, and then on defense, being able to cause some turnovers, you're going to kind of see the same result from the Tide. So just got to keep chugging along here, and like I said, big plays need to happen for the Tide for them to improve.
Ditto.
All right. Moving on. Very, very interesting non-league game. One that's always exciting. North Schuylkill versus Mount Carmel. Both teams right now on 3-3, and this is a huge game for both squads. It always is. Coach John Dara, coming from North Schuylkill last year, leading the Red Tornadoes this year, and off to a better start than many people expected. Just I think 29 kids on the Mount Carmel roster, but those kids are buying into what Coach Dara's doing, and North Schuylkill hoping that their big win last week is kind of going to get them back on track for the remainder of the year. So this one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, huge game for both these people for postseason. Both of them need this win to stay in the hunt for both their district postseason berths. What I'm interested in to see is it's kind of a funny statistic. Mount Carmel's 2-0 at home, and North Schuylkill's actually 3-0 on the road. So they kind of cancel each other out. Silver Bowl, one of the most famous stadiums, high school stadiums, if not in Pennsylvania, in the country.
Yep.
You look up there and you see all those wins, and that's one of those things as a player. It's crazy to see. So huge thing for the Spartans. They need to stop Kyle Karsicki. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm butchering it, I apologize. But he has 887 rushing yards, 9 TDs in the year. Now Carmel run first team, so they really need to key on him if they're going to have any success.
And he did set the school record for single game rushing yards. I believe it was 2 weeks ago in their huge win against was it Danville, I believe. Mount Carmel had a big upset win. I think it was week 3.
They beat Lewisburg and then Danville, okay. So it could have been either one of those.
And he set the single game record for rushing in that game.
Yeah, and I mean the key thing here is the familiarity. Whenever you go against one of your former coaches, obviously he knows the North Schuylkill players, he knows the system, vice versa. They know him, they know what he's going to do. So, a lot of it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out because they do know each other so well and the styles of football. And like I said, we're not privy to the inside information of North Schuylkill's injuries. We don't know if Grigas will be back, but I think they can at least kind of breathe a sigh of relief that they found something last week in Zahodnik and Jordan. So if you are going in without Grigas and without Pat Gownley, you're going to be okay and be able to move the football a little bit. So this one should be exciting, and I think it's going to be a great football game.
All right, so moving on. Shenandoah heading to Tamaqua. Tamaqua had a chance to get their second win in a row and improve their record to 4-3. Shenandoah 2 wins this season, and they're hoping to get win number 3 this week. So, Hurls, what do you think? We got a game here?
No, I like to look at similar opponents here. You look at that Tamaqua North Schuylkill game. Tamaqua matched physicality with North Schuylkill. North Schuylkill took it to Shenandoah last week, so I don't think Shenandoah can really match the physicality. I don't think they have the depth. I don't think they have the numbers to do that. So I see Tamaqua winning big this week.
Yeah, whenever Tamaqua can do what they do, and that's pound Bud Moyer, if they can do that better than you can stop it, they're going to win big. The only shot you have at beating Tamaqua is to be able to stop that running game and take them outside their comfort zone. And I don't think Shenandoah has the horses to do that. So I expect Tamaqua to just pound on them all day.
Boy, Tamaqua, they just keep churning out these horses, don't they? Mm-hmm. And these tough linemen and this tough running game, and it's impressive year in and year out. And they're keeping themselves in the hunt. And after what looked to be a little bleak maybe 2 weeks ago, here they are with a chance to get to 4-3. But I agree with you guys as well. Shenandoah's really going to have their hands full this week with Tamaqua.
I think with Tamaqua, what you saw a couple of years ago when they were 10-0, I think it was 2012. They had playmakers. They had the guys on the outside like Don Baker. They had Tyler Hope. They had guys like that could make some plays on the outside for him in space. I think that's what they're missing right now. I think they have those guys, interior guys. They have their pounding back. They have their smart QB that's going to take care of the ball. They just don't have those guys on the outside right now to be able to break those big 50, 60-yard plays off when they need them. So watch out when they do. Hopefully some guys are coming up for them. If you look at their younger classes, I have my good friend Jimmy Barron. His son is in that lower class, and I think we all know Jimmy. We all know he's a great guy, and they have a lot of good kids down there in that 7th and 8th grade and freshman program. I think some athletes that can come out of there and be strong. So expect to see some of those playmakers in the future because when they have those guys, they're tough to beat.
Right. And one thing to point out, if your rebuilding year is this is how you compete in a year that maybe is not your top tier,
right.
That's what impresses me the most. When, like you said, when Tamaqua has those playmakers, boy, they don't make a run like they did a few years ago and they go 10-0. But even when they don't have those playmakers, they're grinding it out week in, week out, keeping themselves alive, staying in that game, and keeping themselves in a playoff hunt. So, I really think it's a credit to Coach Bonner and the job he's done and his staff over the years and, creating that culture at Tamaqua because that was not the case before he got there.
No, definitely not.
All right, so moving on. Minersville 0-6 right now, and we talked about them a little bit. Blue Mountain 5-1. On paper, this one a bit of a mismatch. Going to be tough for Minersville to stay competitive in this one.
Yeah, Minersville kind of in the same situation that Panther Valley is going into. You're winless on the season. It's tough to keep spirits high, to keep kids motivated. You're going to play a very good quality team. So, but. These are kids that every week they're still buckling it up and getting it done, even though they're struggling in the win column. So the Minersville kids are going to go and they're going to play as hard as they can possibly play, like they do every week. But they're just going to run into a superior opponent this week and have a tough time. They had a hard time offensively last week against Tamaqua. I think this Blue Mountain defense is a step above Tamaqua, so it should be a tough road for the Miners again.
Yeah, I agree with Coop. Mines were just not balanced enough this year, I think, to give Blue Mountain any trouble. Yeah, I think you give those type of teams trouble, those real physical teams, when you're able to do both, pass and run well. They're not able to do this year. We talked about the struggles in the passing game, so I would expect the Eagles to roll this week.
All right, so moving on. Next we have Marion at 3-3, heading to Schuylhaven at 4-2. Woo! This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
This is a very, very interesting matchup. Perhaps a preview of what you might see in District 11 Single A coming postseason. Coach Bukowski's still sitting at win number 299, searching for win 300. Coach Farr now has his Hurricanes at 4-2, and at Rotary Field, boy, this is a real exciting game Friday night.
I think if Marion has any chance of winning the District 11 title, this is a game they must get, not only for points, because I think no matter what happens, they'll get in.
Yeah.
But for confidence, momentum, just mentally, I think they have to win this game in order to say, hey, we can take this whole district. If KJ Snurr is able to play, I like them. I think they have a more big play capability with him in the game. I think Schuylhaven, you can relate them a lot to Tamaqua. You saw that game as a real pounded out type of game. I think they're the same. I think Schuylhaven's got a great pound game, rushing game. Defensively, they're stingy, but they don't have any of those playmakers on the outside, I don't think. They showed that, they can't really... Again, the Jim Thorpe game, they had opportunities in the red zone. They had some opportunities to score, and they weren't able to do it because, when you have a team that's strong up front, like, Marion's going to be, they do a good job against the run for the most part. You're going to have to go to the air a little bit. You're going to have to do some play action. I don't see Schuylhaven being able to do that right now. So... I believe it all comes down to injuries for Marion. I like Marion in this one. If Snurr's able to play, if he's not, I like the Hurricanes. But like I said, I really like whoever to win this game. Real confidence boost for the District 11 title.
Yeah, I think Schuylhaven will be able to do a little bit of damage to the air this year. I like Dan Lozada, and
he's your boy, Lozada. I've been talking about for 2 years.
And I do like Preston Garrett, especially when he comes out of the backfield doing some things. I think they can get some matchup problems there. So I think
PV blood right there. His old man Roger played for Panther Valley back in the late 80s or early 90s.
Yep, there you go. So I think Schuylhaven will be able to do enough in the passing game to move the football and make this an interesting game. And actually, I like the Hurricanes this week.
I kind of do too. I kind of like the Hurricanes this week. I think at their place, I think they're kind of finding their groove right now. And I think Marion might be searching a little bit, and based on the North Schuylkill game, looking at what North Schuylkill did to Marion a few weeks ago, I think Haven could do some similar things. I think it's going to be a great game. I bet if I had to pick, I would say Haven in a close one. So that would be that is our second game of the week, our marquee game of the week this week. Our Coleridge football game of the week is going to be Monterey Area at Jim Thorpe. Monterey Area sitting there at 4-2, coming off a tough loss against Blue Mountain. Thorpe still sitting there at 6-0, and this is our biggest matchup this week with two teams that are still alive for the AFL. Although Monty, obviously, would need some help. Thorpe in control of their own destiny, but going to be interesting to see how Thorpe does against an opponent like Monterey Area.
Yeah, if Mason Ryan plays, I like it to be a closer game. I don't know if it'll be a touchdown game. I think it'll be, even if he plays 10-point, 2-touchdown game the whole time, but they'll keep Jim Thorpe honest. If he doesn't play, I think Jim Thorpe's going to roll. The good thing about Jim Thorpe was, and I've been talking about this year, their defense is fast. They're fast and they're strong, so they got both those things working for them. Those two defensive ends for Jim Thorpe, Greg Palmer and, not to sound like a homer, but my cousin Colton Hurley, have been doing such a great job all year.
They have.
And they're quick, they're strong, and they really set that edge on both sides. So it's really tough to do something on those ends for them. And in the option game, you're trying to really suck those guys in. I think they need to play assignment football like you're taught in option. It's a really tough offense to prepare for. I was talking to Coach Rosenberg, and he said, hey, you can't replicate that with your scout team at practice. You just don't have the guys, especially like Monterey does, the playmakers they have, to replicate it. So you just got to prepare for it and be confident and believe in your kids that they're going to play assignment football and fundamentally tackle. Other than that, I think Jim Thorpe gets back on track this week. I think they stumbled a little bit last week in that first half. I'll give the credit to Panther Valley for that, but still, I like Jim Thorpe this week, and I like Jim Thorpe to win convincingly.
Yeah, I think the Olympians definitely got a wake-up call last week, and I think it was something they probably needed. They weren't really challenged up until that point. And I think on the other hand, I think they have to realize that they can't play that kind of half of football again, like down this stretch, and win a game. I mean, they were fortunate enough that they played that kind of half, and again, we got to give Panther Valley credit, they played well, but Jim Thorpe made a lot of mistakes. And against a better quality opponent, you're not going to recover from a 17-point deficit like they did this past week. So I think that's going to be a definite wake-up call for them. They know they can't come out flat. They know they can't get behind against Mono area. But like I said, the key is going to be Mason Ryan. He has to play. If he doesn't play, I think we're looking at what kind of happened to him last week in Blue Mountain.
Yeah.
If he does play, like I said, with coaches having so much access to everybody's films and stuff these days in the huddle, did Panther Valley expose something last week with Jim Thorpe? Like, is there a kink there that teams are going to try to capitalize on? Be interesting to see. But if I had to pick a winner, I do like the Olympians at home.
I would have to agree as well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do our rapid fire section right now, okay? So
You love rapid fire.
rapid fire, yeah.
And we don't know these
I wish
questions
we had
ahead of
one.
time.
No, we don't go over.
I wish
I
we
just
had,
throw it out
The
there.
thunder
just hammered
sounds
us.
and the lightning sounds like. Answer a question.
I just hammered us with these, and we
Yeah,
don't know
Yeah,
what's coming.
we don't even know. I didn't even know about this. So
No,
I
we
didn't
just
know
throw it out
idea.
there. All right. So here's how we do it this week.
Okay.
I throw out the team.
Yeah.
You tell me how their season ends. EC, district, or something other.
Non-postseason or something.
Non-postseason or just a comment on how these next
Okay.
3 weeks play out.
Okay.
All right? We're ready.
Yes.
North Schuylkill.
Districts.
Districts.
EC. Don't make districts. Too many tough teams in the Colonial League in 2A. All right. Next, we got Panther Valley.
1 win.
I agree. I'm gonna say they get 2. I think they get 2. I think they get Hanover, and I think they get Minor.
I think they sneak out 2, build some momentum going into the offseason. Okay, next, we got Shendo.
2 wins as they have now. Finish with 2.
Yeah, I think the schedule's too tough down the stretch
Yeah.
to get another one.
I would agree, but I would think much more competitive, give somebody a scare down the stretch.
Sure.
Tamaqua.
I like Tamako to get Eastern Conference.
Agreed.
Agreed. All right, next we have Minersville.
Tough year for the Miners. Too many penalties, no passing games. First win this year in a while for Pat Mason.
Yeah, I mean, they got to circle that Panther Valley game. Pretty much the only shot at a win. So someone in that game might go winless, and somebody might get one. But see what happens.
All right,
So
I agree. It's going to come down to that. Okay, next we have Schuylkill Haven.
District runner-up.
district champions.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go district champs as well. I think they're finding their groove. Okay, next Monterey area.
District champs.
Woo!
I made my pick. Not like 2 weeks ago. Remember?
They make districts but fall short.
I agree. Make districts fall short. All right. Speaking of District 11 single A, let's roll on to Marion.
Hit that stretch of games. Some injuries, couldn't recover from it. Losing the first round of districts.
Yeah, I think they kind of lost their mystique and swagger. I think teams really feel like they can compete with them this year, and I don't think they hold that advantage that they once held. So yeah, I agree. I think they get into districts 6-4, 5-5, something like that. But I think they struggle in playoffs.
I agree. Okay, next we got your Olympians.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, you're on the spot right now.
Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I had to agree just because AAA is so good.
Yeah.
You lose one game, you're not getting into the district.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, with the 3 opponents they have coming down the stretch and a tough one this week, I mean it's hard to think they can get through that unscathed, and they have to get in the district.
Yeah.
So 9-1's a great season, but it's going to put them in Eastern Conference.
Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain Eastern Conference also.
Eastern Conference.
All right.
Yeah.
Indians.
They make districts. I like.
And
They're going to run into Central Catholic at some point, so I don't think they can win a district title. But I mean, they played great against Governor Mifflin, so I think they get to the district title game in 3A.
I like that. I like that too, and I think I like the Heck to get to the district championship this year.
I do too. I think the Governor Mifflin game really showed us something. I thought.
Yeah.
We all kind of thought that was the type of game that they needed to win to prove they could compete in District 11 Single A, and I could see them making the District 11.
I believe in Can. That's why I believe in Can.
It's the team. It's definitely the team that I'm looking most forward to seeing. Get.
I want to see them play against a team like that with all that speed. I just want to see how they handle what they do with it.
I would love to see them go in and be the Central Catholic.
Oh,
it would be
God.
amazing for our area, for the Anthracite League, and for all the leagues.
Yeah, very cool.
And it's doable. They're awesome. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good rapid fire.
I liked it.
Hey,
I liked it.
Good job,
I
gentlemen.
liked it.
All right, so that is going to wrap up our Week 7 show. Remember, we got our Thursday night special tonight, and you can listen to myself and John Cooper on the World Wide Web.
www.wmgh.com.
And we'll also be on FM.
Yeah, all you local people, we will be on Magic 105.5.
And you can read the account of the game next day from Mr. Hurley here.
Yeah, you guys got to start saying WMGH like in Howard Center, like
WMGH. And Hurls is also going to join us at halftime to give you some amazing stats over the radio tomorrow. So
I'll be there. So
Well,
tune
take
in.
a little
Well, I'll be on. It'll be just like
we're out in the elements
Thursday night
tomorrow.
tailgate on
Yeah.
WMGH.
We're out in the elements. Lee Heighton still working
No
on his
press
field,
box.
so no press box. So we are out in the
It'll be
elements.
hard to write with mittens on.
with
but
the
I'll do my best.
fans. Love it.
Good thing it's still October.
Yeah.
Be a good time. Be a good time.
It's going to be fun. Thanks again for joining us. This is TNT, Coal Region Football's Thursday Night Tailgate. Perfect.